Mist drifts low over silver lawns, not the kind that chills the bone, but the sort that softens the edges of thought. Light bends strangely here, as if memory itself has weight. Colors breathe. Leaves do not merely rustle, they murmur, recalling summers that have not yet happened. This is Lórien in the Undying Lands, and in the present moment it is always twilight. Neither sleep nor waking, but the pause between. At its heart walks Irmo, whom the Valar name Lórien, and every step he takes sends a ripple through the unseen currents of Arda. Dreams deepen, fears loosen their grip. Somewhere far away, a mortal stirs from uneasy sleep, comforted without ever knowing why. Welcome to the Elder Darkness. On this journey, we drift beyond swords and battles, beyond crowns and councils, into the quiet power that shapes the world while everyone else is busy swinging axes. You might find yourself somewhere in the story, perhaps in a half-remembered dream that felt important for reasons you could never quite explain. If you enjoy wandering these deeper paths of Middle-earth, take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us where in the world you're listening from. Now, lie back and relax as we travel to the world of Middle-earth. Gardens of vision, wells of sleep. Irmo is not a Valar of thunder or fire. He does not shatter mountains like Tulkas or raise seas like Ulmo. His power is subtler, and because of that, far easier to underestimate. He is the master of visions and dreams, the keeper of hope when waking strength fails. In the music of the Ainur, his theme is one of harmony and gentle resolution, weaving rest into the great design. When the world becomes too loud, too sharp, Irmo is the pause that allows it to endure. In Valinor, his dwelling is also named Lórien, the fairest of gardens, where the Valar themselves come to rest. Even gods, it turns out, need naps. Here they are healed of weariness, of sorrow, even of the spiritual fatigue that comes from shaping a world filled with conflict. Este the Gentle, his spouse, walks beside him, and together they tend fountains whose waters bring deep sleep and renewal. It is said that in Lórien, grief does not vanish, but it loosens, like a clenched fist slowly opening. Middle-earth historians still debate whether Irmo's visions are strictly prophetic or whether they are possibilities made visible, branching futures shown not as commands, but as warnings. What is clear is that his sight reaches far beyond Aman. Dreams do not respect oceans. When the elves first awaken at Cuivianen, they are already dreamers. Before the Valar ever find them, before Orome's horn rings across the starlit plains, the Quendi sing beneath the stars and speak of images that come to them in rest, memories of the music they barely remember. Some scholars suggest Irmo's influence is already present here, a soft, guiding pressure that prepares the elves to understand beauty, loss, and longing. This may explain why elves, more than any other people, live with one foot always in memory and dream. As ages pass and sorrow enters the world, Irmo's role deepens. After the destruction of the two trees, when light itself seems wounded, it is in Lórien that the Valar seek solace. The gardens become a refuge not just of rest, but of vision. Here, paths of history are contemplated and futures weighed. Irmo does not command outcomes, but he illuminates them like moonlight, revealing a road without forcing anyone to walk it. There is a quirky tradition, mentioned in passing in the lore, that some of the Valar sleep for long spans in Lórien dreaming entire ages. Whether these dreams influence the waking world or simply reflect it is unclear. Middle-earth historians still debate whether the long silences of certain Valar are acts of withdrawal or deep, world-shaping contemplation. Either way, Irmo's realm is the place where inaction can be as meaningful as action. A comforting thought for anyone procrastinating, really. Irmo's power also bleeds into the halls of Mandos. While Mandos speaks doom and remembrance, it is often Irmo who prepares spirits to receive those truths. Visions soften the shock of fate. Dreams teach acceptance before judgment arrives. This partnership is one of the great balancing acts of Arda. Doom without despair, memory without madness. The influence of Lórien does not remain locked in the West. When the Noldor return to Middle-earth in exile, they carry with them an echo of Irmo's garden. This echo will one day bloom again in a forest ruled by a lady who learned much in Valinor. In The Lord of the Rings, when the Fellowship enters Lothlórien, time loosens its grip. Gimli feels his heart unburdened. Frodo sees light layered upon memory, and even Boromir grows quiet. This is not coincidence. Galadriel's realm is a distant reflection of Irmo's power, a reminder that dreams can still shelter the waking world. Remember how tall Gimli was? Even he, all stone and stubbornness, is moved to reverence there. That alone tells you something serious is happening. One event from the great tales subtly bears Irmo's mark. Frodo's prophetic dreams in the House of Bombadil and later in Rivendell. These are not random firings of a tired hobbit's mind. Dreams warn him of the sea, of white shores, of a road beyond pain. Middle-earth historians still debate whether these visions originate directly from Irmo or whether they are mediated through Ulmo or even Ilúvatar himself. But the tone is unmistakable, gentle, sorrowful, and strangely hopeful. This is not the voice of doom screaming. It is the voice of rest calling from far away. There is even a fringe tidbit whispered among lore enthusiasts. Some suggest Tom Bombadil himself may be attuned to Irmo's dream current, existing partially outside waking time. This theory is, to put it politely, controversial, and tends to start arguments that last longer than the siege of Angband. Still, the idea persists, because Bombadil, like Lórien, seems untouched by fear and unhurried by fate. Irmo's power is not about escape. Dreams in Arda are not illusions meant to distract from suffering. They are preparations. In Lórien, one rests so that one may endure waking again. That is why his influence is strongest in times of weariness, not triumph. When heroes falter, when hope thins, dreams arrive not to promise victory, but to remind the soul that meaning still exists. As the First Age grinds on in tragedy and heroism, Irmo remains largely unseen, and that is precisely the point. His is the power that makes endurance possible. Without rest, even immortals break. Without dreams, memory curdles into despair. In the quiet Gardens of Lórien, Arda learns how to keep going. And as the world turns toward darker ages, those gardens continue to send out ripples, soft, persistent, impossible to fully silence. Dreams that reach Middle-earth. The ripple from Irmo's gardens does not fade with distance. It thins, yes, like music heard through stone and sea, but it never vanishes. As the ages lengthen and the Valar grow more withdrawn, dreams become the primary language through which Lórien still speaks to Middle-earth. not commands, not visions carved in fire, just impressions, images that linger after waking, feelings that refuse to be dismissed as coincidence. This is why dreams in later ages grow stranger, heavier, and more symbolic. Mortals, unlike the Valar or the Eldar, cannot bear direct revelation. So, Irmo adapts. He distills hope into symbols, a road, a light, a sound of waves where no sea should be. In the Third Age, these dream fragments surface at moments of transition, when the world teeters and the soul needs quiet reassurance more than instruction. Consider Frodo again, because with Tolkien, you always come back to hobbits eventually. In The Lord of the Rings, his recurring dream of the sea, white shores, and a distant music is not merely foreshadowing of the Grey Havens. It is emotional preparation. Long before Frodo understands what he will lose, his spirit is gently introduced to release. Middle-earth historians still debate whether this dream is Irmo's direct touch or a layered message passing through Ulmo's love of the sea. But the dream's softness gives it away. This is not Ulmo's thunderous warning style. This is Lórien, slow, kind, unavoidable. Aragorn, too, is shaped by dream and vision. Raised in Rivendell, he grows up in a place steeped in memory and foresight, where sleep itself seems more intentional. Elrond's house is not only a refuge of lore, but of rest. Some fringe scholars argue that Rivendell functions as a secondary Lórien, subtly tuned to Irmo's influence through Elrond's lineage and long exposure to the West. It would explain why so many world-altering decisions are made there after a good night's sleep. And then there is Faramir. Poor, endlessly underrated Faramir. His prophetic dreams, shared with Boromir before the breaking of the Fellowship, guide him toward the riddle of Isildur's bane. Unlike Boromir, who receives the dream as a call to action, Faramir receives it as a call to understanding. Same dream, different reception. Irmo does not control how visions are interpreted. He provides the space. What mortals do with it remains tragically up to them. Remember how tall Gimli was? Remember how out of place he felt among elves at first? By the end of the journey, even he understands that strength without rest becomes cruelty. That lesson, too, is pure Irmo. A quirky tidbit often overlooked. In early writings, Tolkien toyed with the idea that dreams might be the safest way for the Ainur to influence Arda without violating the freedom of the children of Ilúvatar. Direct intervention risks domination. Dreams merely suggest. If that idea lingered in Tolkien's mind, and evidence suggests it did, then Irmo's domain is not just gentle, but ethically essential to the structure of the world. As the War of the Ring intensifies, dreams become heavier, darker. The shadow presses even into sleep. Yet this, paradoxically, is when Irmo's role becomes most vital. Rest becomes resistance. In Lothlórien, the Fellowship experiences time slowed, wounds eased, hearts steadied. This is not a pause button on evil. It is a reminder of what the world is supposed to feel like. Galadriel's gift to Frodo, the light of Arendelle, works because it is rooted in memory, hope, and vision. All Irmo-adjacent qualities, even if his name is never spoken aloud. Middle-earth historians still debate whether Galadriel learned more from Nienna or Irmo during her time in Valinor. The truth is, probably both. Pity teaches why to endure. Dreams teach how. As the ring is destroyed and the age turns, Irmo's influence does not spike in celebration. There are no victory dreams. Instead, there is a quiet increase in longing. Frodo cannot rest in the Shire. Sleep does not heal him fully anymore. This is often misread as failure. It is not. The wound has moved beyond what Middle-earth can soothe, and so the dreams change again, from preparation for endurance to preparation for departure. The final journey to the Grey Havens is Irmo's power at its most complete. No voices thunder, no visions blaze, just acceptance. The sea looks familiar, as if remembered rather than seen for the first time. That familiarity is the gift. The road ends, not in terror, but in recognition. Now the pacing slows. The Gardens of Lórien remain untouched by the passing of ages. Fountains still murmur, leaves still shimmer with remembered light. Irmo walks his paths as he always has, tending dreams not for heroes alone, but for all who grow weary. Somewhere, someone falls asleep and wakes feeling lighter, unable to explain why. Somewhere else, a decision is postponed until morning, and that delay changes everything. The world grows quieter when you listen closely. Breath deepens, shoulders unclench. Stories end, but rest does not mean erasure. In Tolkien's world, sleep is not an escape from meaning. It is where meaning is gently repaired. And as the last image fades, silver mist, soft grass, the sound of distant water, you are reminded that even in Middle-earth's darkest hours, someone is always keeping watch over the place between waking and peace.